10. Best hits in hockey history, the hardest checks ever. In addition to its speed and skill, hockey is a sport that is noted for its brutality. Hits that are so hard that they break bones have been just as important in defining the game as goals and great plays, which are frequently the ones that get the most attention. Certain of these singles have achieved legendary status over time, whether it is due to the sheer magnitude of their influence, the rivalries that they heightened, or the controversy that they created. Including everything from open ice collisions to crushing board checks, here are 10 of the most powerful and unforgettable hits in the history of hockey. Number 10. In the finals of the Eastern Conference in the year 2000, Scott Stevens destroyed Eric Lindros. There have been very few hits in the history of hockey that have had a greater impact, both literally and figuratively, than the massive check that Scott Stevens delivered on Eric Lindros in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the year 2000. Even though Lindros, the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, had a history of concussions, he chose to participate in the game that would decide the championship against the New Jersey Devils. When Lindros was carrying the puck across the blue line with his head down, Stevens, who is famous for his devastating open ice hits, squared him up and delivered a crushing shoulder blow to Lindros' jaw. After being knocked unconscious, Lindros departed the game and left the Flyers without ever playing another game for the team. Through this hit, Stevens solidified his image as one of the most feared batters in the history of hockey, and it continues to be one of the most talked about checks in the history of the game. Number 9. The Kronwalling of Martin Havlat by Niklas Kronwall during the 2009 playoffs. Niklas Kronwall became well known for his hallmark powerful hits, which frequently caught opponents off guard as they skated along the boards. In the third game of the Western Conference semifinals in 2009, he leveled Martin Havlat of the Chicago Blackhawks, which is considered to be one of the most iconic checks in his career. Kronwall smashed into Havlat with a tremendous open ice hit that left Havlat unconscious on the ice. Havlat was skating through the neutral zone with his head down at the time. The audience went wild, and the hit catalyzed the rest of the games in the series. The phrase "getting Kronwalled" became a classic word in the National Hockey League (NHL), and it became linked with big checks that were clean. Number 8. Dustin Byfuglien, who defeated Mark Stone in the 2015 playoffs. One of the most powerful hits in recent history was delivered by Dustin Byfuglien, a defender for the Winnipeg Jets, on Mark Stone, a forward for the Ottawa Senators, during the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2015. As Stone skated closer to the blue line, Byfuglien, a force of nature weighing 260 pounds, delivered a full-speed body check to him, causing him to burst into Stone. Stone's hit was so powerful that it sent him flying, and the crowd and the commentators were both taken aback by its magnitude. This specific hit continues to be one of the most punishing in the history of the playoffs, even though Byfuglien was known for his very tough play. Number 7. Alex Ovechkin's open ice destruction of Jaromir Jagr during the 2010 Olympics. During the Winter Olympics in 2010, one of the most unforgettable moments in the history of international hockey occurred. The sport has experienced its fair share of huge hits. An earth-shattering hit was delivered by Alex Ovechkin on Jaromir Jagr during a game that was played between Russia and the Czech Republic. Jagr, who is widely considered to be one of the greatest players in the history of the game, was in the process of carrying the puck into the neutral zone when Ovechkin lined him up and sent him flying with a forceful hit to the chest. Because of the force of the hit, Jagr was unable to maintain control of the puck, which resulted in a goal scored by the Russians. Ovechkin's squad was given a boost of energy following the hit, which continues to be one of the most memorable events from that Olympic competition. Number 6. Dion Phaneuf blows Kyle Okposo by a significant margin in the year 2009. Dion Phaneuf is one of the few defensemen in the history of the contemporary National Hockey League who has been feared for his physicality. In a game that took place during the preseason of 2009, the forward for the New York Islanders, Kyle Okposo, learnt this lesson the hard way. Phaneuf took the initiative and delivered a vicious open ice check to Okposo as he was skating into the neutral zone. This caused Okposo to fall to the ice. After the strike, Okposo's teammates instantly rushed to support him, which resulted in a fight breaking out. The immense force of the check made it one of Phaneuf's most renowned hits, even though it was a game that was played during the preseason. Number 5, Zdeno Chara's monster hit on Max Pacioretty 2011. Throughout the history of the National Hockey League NHL, the rivalry between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens has resulted in some of the most intense and violent moments. In 2011, Zdeno Chara is responsible for one of the most controversial hits, which occurred when he checked Max Pacioretty into the stanchion that is located at the end of the boards. While Pacioretty was attempting to catch a puck, Chara, who stands 6 feet 9 inches tall, utilized his big size to force him into the glass. An injury to Pacioretty's vertebra was sustained as a result of the impact, which was so severe. The incident sparked a substantial discussion regarding the safety of players, with many individuals advocating for rule changes to prevent injuries of a similar nature. Number 4. The tremendous success that Brian Campbell had with R.J. Umberger during the playoffs in 2006. A defenseman with the Buffalo Sabres named Brian Campbell delivered one of the cleanest yet most powerful open ice hits in the history of hockey during the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2006. R.J. Umberger, a forward for the Philadelphia Flyers, was skating through the neutral zone with his head down when Campbell came up and executed a brutal shoulder check. This occurred during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. The helmet that Umberger was wearing fell off, and he lay motionless for a few moments before being assisted off the ice because of his injuries. The hit continues to be one of the most memorable moments in the history of the most recent playoffs. Number 3. Shea Weber is responsible for Henrik Zetterberg's head being hit against the glass during the 2012 playoffs. One of the more contentious moments that occurred during the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2012 was during a game that was played between the Nashville Predators and the Detroit Red Wings. As the game was coming to a close, Shea Weber seized Henrik Zetterberg and banged his head into the boards, which shocked both the spectators and the experts. Even while the strike was hardly a textbook example of a body check, the sheer ferocity of the moment made it unforgettable. Weber was fined but not punished, prompting discussions about NHL discipline and player safety. Number 2. In the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, Scott Stevens completely obliterates Paul Kariya. Scott Stevens features twice on this list for good reason. He was one of the hardest hitters the game has ever seen. In Game 6 of the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, Anaheim Ducks star Paul Kariya was skating up the ice when Stevens caught him with a tremendous open ice hit. Kariya was knocked unconscious, but in a legendary moment, he returned to the game and scored a goal. The collision remains one of the most famous in Cup Finals history, demonstrating both the violence and endurance of hockey players. Number 1. Milan Lucic steamrolls Ryan Miller in the year 2011. In most cases, goaltenders are not allowed to take significant hits. However, Milan Lucic disobeyed this rule in 2011 when he collided with Ryan Miller, the goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres, at full speed. Lucic was making a determined effort to get his hands on the puck when he decided to run right through Miller, causing him to fall to the ice. An all-out battle broke out as a result of the hit, which rekindled the long-standing enmity that existed between the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins. In addition to that, it sparked conversations about how goaltenders may be better protected from unnecessary collisions. Which hit do you think was the hardest of all time? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic hockey moments.